What's up guys, it's Paleo here. Today I'm covering 10 shortcuts everybody should know on Adobe Illustrator. First off, I just wanted to say thank you so much for 500 subscribers. We hit it quite quickly, honestly. I wasn't expecting that. So we're doing the hoodie giveaway, this one right here, at the end of the video, so feel free to watch through till that. I also just wanted to quickly say thank you so much for the support on the last video. I think I was excited in that video when we hit 200 views and 30 likes in 2 days, but that video itself hit 200 views and 40 likes in a single day, which is just unbelievable to me. Thank you so much for the support. I couldn't believe that when I seen it, honestly. So I actually looked up a lot of blogs and stuff to see what they thought the most useful shortcuts were, and I was pretty surprised when I seen, honestly, that they just had top 100 shortcuts and they listed every shortcut possible. Just for SEO purposes, I would imagine. No user's gonna go in there and like cherry pick specific ones to use, because that's what the blog should be doing for you. So the shortcuts I'm covering are ones I use every single day in my workflow, and they help me drastically. But let's get into the shortcuts now. So the first one is the paste in place. I actually learned it from a comment on one of my YouTube videos. So when you copy and paste an element, it pastes into the middle of the view on your document. So if you're halfway off the artboard and you paste the element that you copied, it'll paste it halfway off there and it looks kind of weird. But if you use Command or Control C and then Command or Control F, it pastes exactly where it was copied from, which is really useful. To give you an illustration, I do have Illustrator here, so we are just going to open that now. And as you can see, we have this basic document here. And what I'm going to do is turn grids on really quickly and use the ellipse tool. So I'm going to do Command quotation, Command Shift quotation, zoom in. So let's say I want the end result to be like this here using filled paths. Normally I would have gone creating an 8x8 ellipse there, Control C, Control V, putting it over top, oh, there we go, and scaling it down to, and then using the shape builder tool to remove the inside. But with paste in place, what you can do is create the 8x8 ellipse again, Command C, Command F, and it's already pasted. So then you just scale it down in the center there, use the shape builder and remove it. And it may not seem that fast when you're just doing that one little thing, but it definitely adds up over time when you're using it. So the second shortcut I have listed is the Export for Screens shortcut, which is Alt, Command, and E, or Alt, Control, and E. The Export for Screens tab actually saves me a ton of time in my day-to-day, especially when saving work for clients that want a lot of variation in their file types and like transparent backgrounds or different colors in their backgrounds. You can easily do it using different artboards on Adobe Illustrator. Just to illustrate how fast and how convenient Export for Screens is, I've opened Illustrator right now, and you can see right here, I have 4 different artboards. One's for the logo mark, which I just use a circle for, one's for the logo type, which I just use some filler text for, and then one's for the logo mark and the logo type with transparent backgrounds. So as you can see, these ones have white and then these ones have nothing. And you can press Alt, Command, and E, and it'll open up this here, and you can name your artboards, so it'll automatically save the names when saving the files, just so you can see the differences. And you can also select the formats here, so the base one is PNG, but you can also add a scale if you want to do 0.5, or you want to do 4 times the resolution of the PNG. And then you can also add another one if you want to do SVG, or even PDF, or any of the JPEGs available. Then you can also create subfolders, and it'll automatically organize everything into different folders, which is extremely convenient for the client and for you. But once you have the settings selected that you'd like, you can hit Export Artboard. I think I've already done this, so I'm just going to hit Replace on this one, and it'll export slowly. Even if it seems like it's exporting slow, it's a lot quicker than manually saving each one. And now that it's open here, you can see that we have the 1 times for the PNGs, we have the 4 times for the PNGs, the PDFs, and the SVGs, all saved in their respective formats. And you don't really need the shortcut to know Export for Screens. I just felt like the shortcut to Export for Screens just made it that much faster. The next shortcut I have is one I actually used in my last video with the isometric grid, and it is the repeat action, which is just Command or Control D. It's pretty simple, but it's honestly very useful when working with text or just different elements that you need spaced out evenly, or you just need rotated evenly, or just tedious processes that might take a long time if you have to repeat an action. This just makes it that much easier to accomplish. So for an example, I have Illustrator open again, and I'm just going to create a rectangle right here, and I'm going to change the fill to a black. There we go. I'm just going to select the object, hold Alt, and drag using Shift. And as you can see, I spaced that out a little bit. And then I'm just going to hit Command D, and it does the exact same thing. So once I have these ones, I'm just going to hold Alt again, drag it over here, and I'm going to snap this one to here this time. And now you'll see that we can duplicate a few more each time. Now I'm just going to grab these, and I'm going to drag it down a little bit here, and then I'm going to Control or Command C and then Command F to paste them in place, just like we learned on the first one. And I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees, and as you can see we have a pretty basic square grid here. But that's not the only thing it's useful for. Let's say we have some text that we want on this, and let's say we want it to be branding guidelines. And let's say we want our text split into columns, but we don't want to set up the rulers for all the columns because that's kind of just a waste of time. So we have branding guidelines here, and what we can do is just hold Alt, drag and Shift, and drag it to this next line that we have. And let's say we want this one to say something else. But first what we can do is easily just hit Command D, and it'll duplicate these across. And now you can easily just name these. So let's say I want my brand name, and then my real name, and then maybe the date on this one, September 2020. And I don't think we really need this one. But I think that's a good example, and I often use this for text layouts as well, which I think is really convenient, especially when you're using a column-based layout for your text. So the fourth shortcut is actually a little bit of a bundle of shortcuts, just because I feel like they work so well in unison together, and that is the selection tool, the direct selection tool, and the hand tool, which is V, A, and H respectively. They seem like pretty basic tools and not really necessary, but once you realize how much you actually use these tools in your day-to-day process, it might be time to switch over to shortcuts. When I'm working on a client project, I can use the selection or the direct selection tool 10 to 20 times just in a small time span, so I felt the shortcuts were necessary to learn at that point. Sometimes I kind of slip up and accidentally select the tool instead of just using the shortcuts, but that doesn't happen too often anymore just because of the habit I've built of using the shortcut all the time. And so you can see what these three tools are useful for exactly. I have Illustrator open right here, and I'm just going to create three rectangular shapes here, just like this. In no specific order, and I'm going to group them with Command G. So now I'm just going to hit A, and this is the direct selection, and since they're grouped together, normally if you'd use V and select them, they would all be selected, but if you want to select a singular element in the group, you can press A, and then click that element and move it or do whatever you'd like to it, and you're only affecting that one specific element in the group. If you want to get away without using the direct selection tool, you could probably just use the selection tool and hold Command when you're trying to select a specific element in a group. It essentially has the same effect, honestly, so it's not that much different. And of course H is the hand, which allows you to move around your document a lot easier. Personally, I have a trackpad with my MacBook, so it's not really necessary to use the hand tool because you can just scroll along with it. But I feel like it'd be useful to learn along with those other tools if you're using a mouse. So the fifth shortcut is a very simple one, but I think it saves a lot of time in my design process personally, and it is the Eyedropper tool, which is I on the keyboard. I use this all the time, of course, as you should. If you don't, you generally select the swatch colors, or you go into the color palette selector, and that takes a long time, especially for it to like load up, and then you hit OK. Then you get to see the change. Or you go up into the little Pantone selector, or the color selector on the top toolbar, and that still takes time too, just to like move your mouse up there and pick the color you want. But if you already have the color on your artboard, you can easily just use the Eyedropper tool with the letter I. And to provide you with a visualization, I have opened Illustrator once again. As you can see here, we have the three rectangles from last time. One of them is a magenta color though. And what we want to do is make these other two magentas. So we can easily just do that by selecting this with the direct selection since they're still in groups, hitting I, and then selecting. And then I'm going to hit A again to put the direct selection back on, select this one, hit I, select this one. And it's already done like that. And that makes it a lot easier to switch colors or switch properties, even using text. So if we make two text boxes here, let's just put this one as Yes Arts, and we'll put this on bold, and we'll make it quite large. And let's say we have a separate text, and it is actually just a light one, and a lot smaller, and we say graphic design. Now let's say we want this graphic design text to be just as big and just as bold as the Yes Arts text, even though it's just this little text right now. You can easily copy the properties by using the Eyedropper tool and selecting the text, and it'll adjust accordingly. And this sort of method works with strokes and gradients as well, so it's pretty convenient, honestly. I'd recommend learning it if you're switching colors quite often in your projects. The sixth shortcut is actually two shortcuts. It's the shape tool shortcuts, which are L for ellipse and M for rectangle. And honestly, these are the toughest ones to remember for me because they don't really correlate that much to their names. I kind of understand L for ellipse, but M for rectangle doesn't make much sense to me. And I think that's how we've been creating shapes mostly in this video anyways. So let's go into Illustrator just so I can show you. So you can see the rectangle here and the other shapes. I don't use the line segment tool. I don't think I ever really do. I normally just use the pen tool if I'm going to do that. but rectangle tool is M and ellipse tool is L. So we can just hit M here if we want to make another rectangle, and then L if we want to make a circle. And since I create logos using a lot of shapes, as you may have seen in my grid video, I always use these shortcuts now, and they've benefited me so much. Because when I used to do logo design every day, I didn't really use these shortcuts that often, and that probably wasted a bunch of time. So now that I know them, I definitely feel like I'm saving a good amount of time. The next shortcut I have is for kerning on type, vertically and horizontally. This one I find very convenient for exploring different spaces between different types. As you can see, I have Illustrator open here again. I have Divinity, the editing man, and let's say I want the editing man to be spaced out a little bit more, but I don't want to have to like go in here and do all that stuff. I can quickly test it out by holding Alt and going left, and that adjusts it by 20 at a time. And let's say I like that one just because it spaces it kind of evenly, but I also think that editing man might be too far away from Divinity. So I'm actually going to try and alter it up by using Alt and the up on the arrows. And as you can see, this moves it up. I think it moves it up by 10 at a time. And let's say I want that one because it's a lot closer. I think that looks okay. So let's say I want to test the spacing on the Divinity text. I'm just going to hold Alt and select left on the arrow. I don't think that's happening in enough increments, so I'm going to hold Alt and Command and then go on the left. And as you can see, it's going by 100 at a time. And I definitely think it's better with 0, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I think that's a good example as to how you can use the shortcut for font kerning in your day-to-day workflow, using Alt and the arrow keys for adjusting the horizontal and the vertical displacement. And then you can also use Command and Alt for larger quantities. So the next shortcut is probably my favorite out of all of these, and it is the Paste on All Artboards shortcut, which is Command Shift Control V. I think I will check when we hop into Illustrator here right now. So let's say we have Divinity, the editing man, and let's say we have 9 artboards. Let's just do this really quick. Oh, one more. And then let's rearrange, put 3 columns. So let's say we want this Divinity man as sort of a watermark on all of these artboards, but we don't want to have to copy and paste it and then try to align it perfectly just how it's aligned on here. So what we can do is Command C and then Shift Alt Command V. And as you can see, we have them on all of them here. This is a great tool if you're looking to have many similar elements on each page, even if you just want to change them up a little bit. Just having them in that same position on each artboard is amazing, and it makes it super quick and super easy. This is the shortcut that probably saves me the most time when I'm creating proposals for clients with their logo design, and I need to have a sort of watermark or even like the little text below it says logo proposal with the client's name and my name and the date or something like that, or the proposal or the draft version, and it's so easily editable. And it's definitely my favorite shortcut out of all of them. So the next tool probably isn't as useful to you if you're using a laptop and use a trackpad, but it is the temporary hand tool, and it is the spacebar. So if you hop in Illustrator here, we have this old document with Divinity, the editing man, and let's zoom in, and let's say we want to quickly move over to the next one. We can just hold spacebar down, and we have the hand tool until we let go of the spacebar. So we can just keep on moving around just like this, and then let go of the spacebar, and we're there. But if you have the trackpad, obviously it's a lot easier just to use that, so probably disregard this one if you're using a trackpad. The final shortcut is the lock layer shortcut. I use this one all the time if I have references that I'm using on the side of my artboard, or if I have a background that I don't want to edit, or if I have a clipping mask or a pattern that I don't want to move around. I always use this one, and the shortcut for this one is Command or Control and the number 2. So as you can see here, just as a little base, since these are watermarks, we probably don't want these to move at all. So what I'm going to do is just select them all and hit Command 2. And now we can't select them at all, so these will still affect where it'll snap to place a rectangle or to place elements or to move elements towards, which is really nice if you're using these elements that you've locked as sort of a layout. But that concludes the 10 shortcuts I think everybody should know in Adobe Illustrator. And I really appreciate you guys watching through. Feel free to leave in the comments which one your favorite one was, or if you had learned any, or if you knew all of them, or if you have a different shortcut that saves you a lot of time in your design process. So for the giveaway that I announced that I was doing at 500 subscribers, I'm giving away this hoodie here, but it's printed on a Gildan 50/50, a 15.5 ounce hoodie. So it's a very heavyweight hoodie compared to normal hoodies. I've actually been sitting on all the blanks and the patches for a while now, but due to COVID, everything kind of got delayed in the process, so I haven't released them yet. So the person that wins this giveaway will be the first person to have one aside from me, and I guess my mother has one as well. So aside from us two, you'll be the only person that has one. I plan to release them sometime soon, hopefully when it's sweater weather or even in the winter, when people will be needing heavyweight sweaters. So if you're looking to enter this giveaway, please subscribe to the channel with the notifications on, like the video, and leave something in the comments. It can be your favorite shortcut, it can really be anything you want, just so I can see that you're in there, and then I can make sure that you've subscribed and whatnot, of course. And the winner of the video will likely be selected in one of the next 3 videos, likely not the next one because I'm selecting the winner for the grid book for the next one, but maybe the one after that, or even the one after that. I will give you guys updates on the giveaway winner, of course, in the future videos. But I just wanted to do this giveaway because I really appreciate the support on this community that we've built together. And I can't thank you guys enough for the support on the past videos and the past designs that I've made on Twitter or Dribbble or Behance or anywhere that I've posted. I've always had your guys' support and I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to say thank you so much once again, and I hope you guys have a great day.